All right. So, looking at the study guide, please make sure that you watch the entire thing. If you need to fast forward, you may. If you need to rewind, please rewind if you have to rework any problems. Or if you got one wrong, please rewatch it to make sure you're setting it up right. The first thing, always make sure that you copied the problem down correctly. Second thing, make sure that you followed those steps correctly. Third thing, make sure that you simplified correctly. All right, so on number 1, it's multiplication. The first thing we're going to do is change this to an improper fraction. So that's the backward C. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15. So I get 15 over 4 times 5 over 6 when I work that out. When I look at 15 over 4 and 5 over 6, I want to see if anything will simplify. Please remember, one of the numbers that I love to use is 3. So I'm going to divide both of these by 3. So divide 15 by 3 and 6 by 3. So now that we're dividing these by 3, 15 becomes 5, 6 becomes 2. I multiply on top. 5 times 5 is 25. 4 times 2 gives me 8. And this is where you can go to the side and do the long division. But I know that 8 will go into 25 3 times, which gives me 24. So I'll have 1 left over. So I get 3 and 1, 8. All right, on number 2, in order to multiply this, the first thing we have to do is put my 21 over 1. Now I have 3 and 21 on top, 7 and 1 on the bottom, looking for something that'll simplify. I know 7 can go into 7 and 7 can go into 21, so I'm dividing them. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 21 divided by 7 is 3. If I multiply the top, I get 3 times 3, which is 9. On the bottom, 1 times 1 is 1. 9 over 1 is the same as just the whole number 9. All right, 9 is simpler than 9 over 1, so this would be the simplified form, which would be what you need to write in. All right, on number 13, there are no whole numbers. There are no mixed numbers at all, so we can just go ahead and simplify and multiply. When I look at number 3, I know 3 can go into 3 and 3 can go into 15. Please remember to always check your 3's. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. When I multiply now, because 11 and 8 won't simplify, so 1 times 11 is 11. 8 times 5 is 40. So I get 11 over 40. On number 4, we talked about in class today how the word of is a key word that means to multiply. So when I set this up, I'm going to put 3,025 over 1, and I'm multiplying that times 4/5. Guys, I know that 5 on the bottom and 3,025 can simplify because it ends in 5. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 can't go into 3. 5 can go into 30 6 times. 5 can't go into 2. 5 can go into 25 5 times. Again, guys, this would be where you would typically want to write out that long division on a separate sheet of paper. All right, so now it tells me 4 times 605. Again, this is something I'm going to go to a separate sheet of paper to multiply. So we're going to do 4 times 5, which gives me 20 when I carry the 2. 4 times 0 is 4, plus the 2 is just 2. 4 times 6 is 24. So I get 2,420. On the bottom, we just have 1. So my answer would just be 2,420. All right, looking at number 5, we're going to do that backwards C. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 5 is 29, over 8. And I told y'all in class we could take that 7 out just to help me simplify this a little bit easier. So I'm going to just make that times 1/2. We took that 7 off in class. All right, if I look here, 8 and 29 can't simplify. 29 and 2 can't simplify. 1 doesn't do anything, dividing by 1. So we can't do anything here but multiply. 29 times 1 is 29. 18 times 2 is 16. If I do that division, 16 will go into 29 just one time. So what's left over, when I would do that subtraction in the division, I would get 13. Again, guys, if you have trouble doing this in your head, please write out that division like we do in class. For number 6, I'm going to multiply here and add, do my backwards C. So 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3 is 23 over 5, times, multiplying here, 2 times 12 is 24, plus 1 is 25 over 2. Looking here to see if I can simplify. I know 5 will go into 5 once, 5 will go into 25 5 times. So now I'm ready to multiply. 5 times 23 would give me 115, and then 1 times 2 is 2. So now is when I would do that long division over to the side. I know that 2 will go into 11 5 times, leaving 1 left over. 2 will go into 15 7 times, with 1 left over, so I get 57 1/2. Again, divide that out to the side, do long division. This is what's on top. The 1 is the piece that's left over in your division. All right, again, on number 7, we know that of means to multiply. That's what we discussed in class at length. And then we're going to put that 36 over 1. So now we're ready to multiply this. I don't see anything here that simplifies, because 11 and 36 can't, 3 and 11 can't. Remember we said 1 doesn't help us to simplify that. So on the top, 3 times 36 gives me 108. On the bottom, I get 11 times 1, which is 11. So when I divide that, again, going to the side, 11 goes into 108 9 times, which is 99. When I get what's left over, that's 9 over 11. Guys, y'all have a good day. Make sure you watch the rest of the video and check your answers. All right, for number 8, 3 friends have 585 pieces of candy. It's talking about John, Sally, and Smarty. But it asks, how many pieces of candy does Sally have? All right, I'm going to pause until some of the noise quiets down from the hallways. All right, it's quiet down a little bit, so now let's keep going with number 8. We talked about a lot in class how we're talking about Sally here. So it's just really asking us this piece about Sally has 2/9 of the candy. We also mentioned how of is multiplication. And then it says of the candy. And it told us in the very beginning how many pieces of candy there were. So we have 585 right here. So I have 2/9 of 585, which would be times 5, 8, 5. And I'm going to put that over 1 since it's a whole number. All right, so now 9 will go into both of these. I know 9 can go into 9 one time. I could go over to the side if I wanted to do that division. 9 into 585. 9 goes into 58. 6 times, which gives me 54. And then when I subtract that, I get 4, bring down the 5. 9 goes into 45 5 times. So 9 will go into 585, 65 times. And that's where I did that division over to the side. All right, so now on the top it just says 2 times 65, which is 130. And on the bottom, 1 times 1 again, which means Sally has 130 pieces of candy. Excuse the horrific handwriting here. And that's a 30. 130 pieces of candy. All right. The next one, in the $1 Million Marching Band, 2/5 of the students play the drums. If there are 560 students in the band, how many students play the drums? So again, right here we can say 2/5 of the students, which is my multiplication. 2/5 of the students, there were 560 students. So I have 560 right there. So now that tells me to multiply. So we're going to do 2/5 times 560 over 1. All right, this ends in a 0, so I know 5 will go into it. 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into 560. All right, I know 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 6 once, which leaves me with 1 left over. 10 would be 2. So 112 times again. We can do that division just like we did the 9 out to the side. All right, so now on the top it just says 2 times 112, which gives me 224. And then on the bottom, 1 times 1 is 1, which means for my answer, 224 students play the drums. All right, because again, it is a word problem, so I'm answering as a sentence. All right, numbers 10 through 17. This is the new stuff that we were doing this week with dividing. All right, but fortunately, the steps are pretty much the same. We still need to make them improper. Then we're going to have one different step of keep, change, flip, and then we continue working it the same way. I do want to give you a heads up on the test tomorrow. These division and multiplication problems are mixed in together. So make sure we're being careful about the symbol in the middle. Since this is division, I am going to go ahead, just like on multiplication, write 2 over 1 divided by, I'm going to multiply here. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11 over 3. All right, so now from here, this is when we're going to keep, change, flip. So this is your KCF that we were practicing. And I'm sorry, it's totally blurred out there. There it is. All right, this is the KCF we were practicing. So we're going to keep 2 over 1, change it to multiplication, and then we flip. So we're going to make that 3 over 11 instead. All right, I'm going to check. Now that I've flipped it and I have multiplication, we're going to see if anything will simplify. Looking at 2 and 11, nah. 2 and 1, remember we don't do 1s. 3 and 1, don't do 1s. 3. Nothing here is going to simplify, so I'm going to multiply 2 times 3 and get 6. 1 times 11 is 11. Please remember, guys, if it's a small number on top, we just leave it. We only have to get a mixed number, a big in front, if there's big on top. All right, so number 11, we're going to set it the exact same way. Let's make 10 an improper fraction, so 10 over 1 divided by, doing my backwards C, 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 4. After I set that up, now I'm ready to keep, change, and flip. I'm going to keep my 10 over 1. I'm going to change it to multiplication, and I flip that, making it 4 over 5. Again, this is now where I can look to see if there's any simplifying. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So there's where I did my simplification. 2 times 4 is 8 over 1, and we know that 8 over 1 is really just the whole number 8. So for number 10, we're looking at the answer 8. All right, number 12. Number 12, I have a mixed number here, so we're going to change that to improper. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 gives me 19. Should probably move that over here a little bit. So I get 19 over 4 divided by 7 over 8. I'm going to get a little bit of white out to get rid of that stray mark that I have. Okay. In search of the whiteout. There it is. So it was right here the whole time. All right, so there's that stray mark that I had from where, remember, pencil is always best. Okay. So now I can clearly see my problem, which makes things easier. So now that we have my division, we need to keep, change, flip. So keep, change, flip. We're going to keep 19 over 4, change it to multiplication, and we flip that fraction. All right, when I look for simplifying, that 4 and that 8, 4 will go into 4 once, 4 will go into 8 twice. All right, 19 and 7 won't simplify, 2 won't simplify with 7, so we're done now on simplifying. All right, 19 times 2 is going to give me 38 over 7. So now I need to do that division. 7 will go into 38 5 times. So there's my whole number. I'd have 3 left over because 7 times 5 is 35. I'd still have 3 left from that 38. So I get 5 and 3/7. All right. Let's look at the last one, number 13. I'm going to try to squeeze it in here. All right, so I get 1 times 16 is 16 plus 15 is going to give me 31 over 16. divided by 7 over 8. We have to do our keep, change, flip, so I'm going to keep 31 over 16, change it to multiplication, so this is my KCF, and then I flip 8 over 7. Okay. Looking to simplify, 16 and 8, so 8 will go into 16 twice, 8 will go into 8 once, and that looks like that's the only thing that's going to simplify here. So now on the top, when I multiply, I'm going to come down here. I get 31 times 1, which is 31, and 2 times 7, which is 14. So now I've got to do some division. I know 14 goes into 31 twice, which gives me 28. Going from 28 to 31, I should have 3 left over, so I get 2 and 3/14. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. All right, we're going to change these to improper fractions first. All right, so making that improper, we're going to do 2 times 7 is 14 plus 1 is 15 over 2. And you can see I'm moving over this time because I ran out of some space up on the top. So I get 15 over 2 divided by 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5 over 4. Okay, so now we're going to do our keep, change, and flip. Keep 15 over 2, change it to multiplication, and flip my second one. All right, 5 divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by 5 is 3. I don't see, 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. And you can see, guys, it's really easy to just get in a hurry and miss the simplifying. Slow down, double check before you just keep moving. All right, so now I've simplified all the way. On the top, 3 times 2 is 6. Sorry, I kind of gave that answer away. And 1 times 1 is 1, so my answer here would just be 6. All right, we're going to look at number 15. So again, the first thing we need to do is change these to be improper fractions. All right, to make them improper fractions, we're going to do 8 times 3, which is 24, plus 3 is 27 over 8, times 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9 over 4, and that should be dividing, because we're still dividing here. All right, now we're ready to keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep 27 over 8. I'm going to change it to division, and then I'm going to flip that and make it 4 over 9. So right here, when it says 9 and 27, I know that'll simplify because 9 can go into 9 once, and 9 can go into 27 3 times. So that's a 3 right there. Then 4 and 8, 4 can go into 4 once, and 4 can go into 8 twice. So now when I multiply, I have 3 times 1, which is 3, and 2 times 1, which is 2. 2 will go into 3 once with 1 left over, so I end up with 1 and a half there. 1 and a half. All right, number 16, making it improper first. 10 times 2 is 20, plus 1 gives me 21 over 10, divided by 1 times 5 is 5, plus 1 is 6 over 5. Remember, now we want to do our keep, change, and flip. So we keep 21 over 10, change it to multiplication, flip my fraction. When I simplify here, 5 will go into 5 once, 5 will go into 10 twice. 21 and 6, be very careful. Remember, I love my 3s. 3 can go into these. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 21 divided by 3 is 7. So I have a 7 there, and that's a really, really ugly 7, but it's there. All right, so now on the top it says 7 times 1, which is 7, and on the bottom it says 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, we need to make that improper, so I'm going to go down here. 4 will go into 7 one time with 3 left over, so I end up with 1 3/4. All right, number 7, let's change these to improper. Number 17, changing to improper. So 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9, so I get 9 over 2, divided by 2 times 10 is 20, plus 7, 27 over 10. All right, we're going to KCF, so we keep 9 over 2, change it to multiplication, and flip 10 and 27. All right, simplifying here, 2 can go into 2 once, 2 can go into 10 5 times, 9 can go into 9 once, 9 can go into 27 3 times. So here I get 5 over 3. I know 3 goes into 5 once with 2 left over. Okay, so there's all that division. A little squished in, but that way we can see all of our problem and work together in the video. All right, guys, please remember on your own paper, this would look much better on line paper. I just want to make sure that we have everything together in the video that's recorded. All right, number 18. Suppose a hurricane traveled 130 miles from a point in the Atlantic Ocean to Florida coastline in 6.5 hours. How many miles per hour did the hurricane travel? We talked about this in class as well. It's saying miles per hour. So I'm splitting my miles up into hours. Since I'm splitting this into hours, that's going to be division. The miles is what's listed first, so it's 130 miles split into 6.5 hours. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is make those improper. So that gives me 130 over 1 divided by 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1, 13 over 2. Just like we were doing before, we're going to keep, change, flip. So we have 130 over 1, change it to multiplication, and flip it. 13 and 130. 13 will go into 13 once. 13 goes into 130 10 times. And that one's kind of easy to see because it just had a 0 at the end. All right, I don't see anything else that'll simplify here. 10 times 2 is 20. 1 times 1 is 1. So when I write my answer, I'm going to say the hurricane traveled 20 miles per hour. All right, so the hurricane traveled 20 miles per hour. All right, number 19, getting close to the end, it says how many 3/4 foot lengths of pipe can be cut from a 6 1/3 foot of pipe. We talked about this one today in class 2. We talked about since how we're cutting it into pieces, that's like splitting it into pieces. That's going to be division. All right, we're splitting up the 6 1/4 foot of pipe. So we need to make sure, 1/3, I'm sorry. So we need to make sure we put that first because that's the entire length. And then I'm breaking that into, or cutting it into 3/4 pieces. The 6 1/3 has to be first because that's the entire pipe. That's what I'm splitting, and that's the pieces I'm splitting it into. So now we can change that to improper. So I'm going to do 6 times 3 is 18 plus 1. So I have 19 over 3 divided by 3 over 4. And now we're ready to keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep 19 over 3, change it to multiplication, and flip it to 4 over 3. All right. Today I was asked in class, can we simplify these 3's? You cannot simplify until after you keep, change, flip. We've got to do this part first. And now when I look at this, nothing will simplify. So I'm going to multiply across. 19 times 4 is going to give me 76, and 3 times 3 is 9. So now we can do that division. 9 will go into 76 8 times, which gives me 72. And when I subtract that, I get 4 left over, and my denominator was 9. So I get 8 4/9. So the way I would write this answer is I would say the pipe can be split into 8 4/9 pieces. So it's not going to be split completely into 8. There's going to be 4/9 of a piece left over. All right. Looking at the vocabulary. Now, guys, this vocabulary, please look at your notes, which are number 1 in your math binder right now. Guys, the vocabulary, I told you, those fill-in-the-blanks that are in your vocabulary are pretty much the exact same fill-in-the-blanks on the test. Please, 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 please study this vocabulary. Please remember to write a reciprocal. That's just where we take it and we flip it. So, for example, if I had 18 over 25, 18 over 25, my reciprocal would be 25 over 18. If I have 7 1/4, to find that reciprocal, we have to first make it improper. So 4 times 7 is 28, plus 1 is 29 over 4. When I flip that, it becomes 4 over 29. All right. The last thing that I wanted to mention, on the back, I wanted to talk about a question you're going to see on your test tomorrow. All right. And this is about Stacy. So Stacy has 9 blocks to make a tower. All right. Oops, sorry, that got going crooked. To make a tower. All right. Exactly 1/3 of the blocks will be painted blue. What number of blocks will be blue? All right, and you have to be careful because this isn't asking what fraction of blocks will be blue. That would be easy. It would be 1/3. It's asking what number of blocks. So we have to actually calculate this, and there will be a picture for you tomorrow. I think it's easier just to do the math and work it out versus depending on the picture. So that's what I want to talk to you about. All right, right here where it says 1/3 of the blocks. We've talked about that. Of means to multiply. The blocks, there are 9. So we're going to do 1/3 times 9 over 1. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 9 3 times. I get 3 over 1. So I end up with 3 blue blocks. All right. Heads up to my advanced kids. On the test, I could just as easily, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Please pay attention to this. I could just as easily have asked you what number of blocks are not blue. Then we would just use logic. If 3 are blue and there are 9, 6 blocks are not blue. So, just a heads up for my advanced kiddos. If it says not, make sure you answer that question appropriately and find that empty piece. All right, guys, good luck on our test tomorrow. Thank you for watching the video.